So here's my Veeam server. It's running version 12, and it's already set up and connected to my vCenter server, so I can see all my VMware environment, all the VMs that are running on it. So to migrate to this hypervisor, I'm going to put an agent on a Windows machine, back it up using Veeam. Now the reason why I'm using an agent is if your VMs are on a service provider who's giving you IaaS and you don't have hypervisor access, you should still be able to get on the VMs themselves and be able to install an agent. Now this is the IP address of the machine that I want to migrate, and I've already got the credentials stored in Veeam, so I don't have to type them in again. OK. Click Next. Now I'm going to install a backup agent, and I'm also going to install the plot tracking agent as well. And I'm going to reboot the machine. Now obviously if this is in production you might not want to do that, you might want to do it manually, but for the sake of the video I'm going to automatically let it reboot. And this should run through very quickly. OK. Click Next. And click Finish, and it will run a discovery when it's done. Now for the sake of the video I'll sped this up a little bit, but it should say when it's done, job finished, closed. Now if I go down to my protection group, what I'm looking for is, there's my VM. The most important bit is Backup Agent installed. Once I have my backup agent installed, then I can create a backup job that will back up this VM. So just right click and add a backup job, new job. Back into my server, click Next. I'm going to accept the default job, click Next. Obviously it'll select the VM by default, click Next. Now make sure that you tick entire computer. If you do not tick the top option, this procedure will not work. Oh, whatever backup repository you want, or whatever stage you want on any of them, well, that's fine. If you're familiar with Veeam, this should all be all hat stuff. I'm going to leave application and web processing on, and I'm not going to run the job automatically, because there's something I'm going to want to do first, so that I'm not going to take that job either. So the backup job is standing by ready for me. But what I want to do is on my machine that I'm going to migrate, I want to install the VMware tools, which you would think is a simple process, but as you'll see in a minute, it's somewhat more complicated than it really needs to be. So this is my source machine. It is running on a KVM box. It's running on Proxmox 8. Now, before people start commenting, I know that I can connect to Proxmox with Veeam version 12 and do a backup from there, but I'll defeat the object of this video. So from your source VM, do an ipconfig all and make sure that you've got all the settings for your Windows network, DNS settings, subnet mask, etc. that you're going to need to reconstitute this if the worst happens and you have to add a new network card and rebuild the migrated machine from scratch. Now, I've already downloaded the VMware tools. Now when you go to install them, this will happen. But don't panic, we're expecting this. It says they're not going to be installed because it's not inside a virtual machine. Yes, it is a virtual machine, but it's not a VMware virtual machine. Do not close this window. Don't click Finish. In Windows Explorer, go to your temp directory. And you'll see that there was a folder that's just been created a couple of minutes ago. There it is there, open that up. And in there you will see the actual distribution files for VMware tools. Now if you run these manually, they still won't work. We need to dock to them. Just toss those into a folder. Get that up my way. And paste them in there. Now you can't see this because by default Windows hides all the file extensions, but that's actually an MSI. So if I turn on, if I untick hide extensions for non-file types, you'll see that's actually the installation file for the VMware tools. Now if I run it now, I'm going to get the same error that I got before. So I'm going to download the Windows SDKs. And what I'm after is an application called Orca. And what Orca will let me do is it'll let me edit that MSI file. So run the SDK. Now click Next. Accept the end user license agreement, and I want to untick everything apart from MSI tools because it's the MSI tools that I want. Install, and there's not that many of them, so it won't take very long. Right, you will find them on the C drive in Program Files x86, Windows Kits, version 10, and we are in, where are we going? Yep, bin, then the version, then x86. And the one that we're after is right down at the bottom there. It's called Orca. And even though it says x86, it will run on 64. But if you go to Add and Remove Programs, you'll see it listed now there. So we've installed Orca. We can use that to edit our MSI file, which at the minute will not let us install into this machine. You can click Finish there at this point, but edit with Orca. Just make that a bit bigger and scroll down to Install UI Sequence, and then scroll down to VM_check requirements. And we're going to right click that option, and we're going to remove it from the database by selecting Drop Row. Click OK, and then click Save to save the MSI. This time, when we run the VMware Tools install, it won't check to see that it's a VMware virtual machine, and it'll let us install the VMware Tools. Now bear in mind this is an MSI, so if you're in a domain environment, you can farm this out to thousands of machines at once. There is also some switches on there that you can put on to do a quiet install and suppress reboots, etc. So if you've got a lot of these to do, you know, once a restart, of course, that's what happens when you install VMware Tools. Now that I've got the VMware Tools on there, and I've waited sufficient time for it to reboot, I'm going to run the backup job. Now again, for the sake of the video, I've obviously sped this up quite some time, which is if you look at the timestamps, you will see when it jumps. So I'll run through and take a backup of this box. That's it, finished. So what I can do now is over under Backups Disk, if I expand out the backup job, obviously you could have a lot of them in here, I've only got one. Right click, Instant Recovery. It'll select that VM by default, obviously, click Next. And this is probably the most important screen. If I click Host, you'll see there's my VMware environment. I expand my data center and my cluster and pick which host that I want to run the VM on. Now I don't really have a lot of VM folders, but if you do, you can choose which folder to put them in. And if you've got a lot of resource pools, which I don't, you can pick the resource pool. I can only select the ESXi host because I don't have any resource pools, so click Next. Click Redirect the Right Cache and select where you want to be stored. Now it's not so important for this, but if you were restoring from like a crypto event, you can scan their source and make sure there's no malware or anything in there, and then tick the button at the bottom to say Continue Scanning. And then it just asks you to type in a note there. So I'm just migrating a KVM hosted machine. It says connect VM to network, but it won't. And it says power on target VM, and it will. And that's a start in the restore job now. Again, for the sake of the video, I've sped up the process. If you jump over onto your VMware server, what you will see is the VMs start to get created, registered, put onto the right data store, reconfigured, and eventually powered on. And the more eagle-eyed of you will have noticed the little green triangle on top of the VM that you can see on the bottom of the list there. It's imported it via its IP address. I could have changed that name to something more meaningful if I wanted to. But if we jump on the console, the fact that we're not looking at a blue screen of death is a bonus. We can log on successfully. Now what you will find is everything's migrated across, and as you can see, it's not running like a bag of spanners, so the VMware tools is on there and running as you would expect. Just have a look in the task tray, let it catch up because everything's just starting up. There you go, there's VMware tools running. But what you will find is when it's finished firing Windows at me, obviously you could uninstall the agent now because we don't need it. If I look at the properties for the network card, you will see it's disconnected. It's a big regex to it, so it's not been disabled. It's disconnected, which is a good thing, of course, because it's running live on in my Proxmox environment. So let's shut it down over there at the source. Again, I know Proxmox is supported in Veeam. I've got to point in Veeam at the Proxmox server if I want to, but that defeats the point of the video. Now if I edit the VM in VMware and connect its network card, and remember it's connected. Let's just jump back on the console again. We no longer have a bigger regex, which is a good sign. And just to prove it's not smoke and mirrors, if I just drop the command line and do a ping all the 8s, there you go, we've got connectivity. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to come and visit us, www.petenelllive.com.